Good morning. Good morning, all, and welcome to Practical Parsha this coming week, Parsha's Vayishlach. Welcome to those on Zoom, on Facebook Live, and to the viewers who are going to watch this later on in the week or to come. When or why does success breed humility? That's the question of today. You would think that success breeds ego or confidence, self-confidence, right? To feel superior over others. But the message of today is that really what success should be doing is breeding humility. Let's start with this. We're all familiar with the bracha that we say out of gratitude to God when he takes us through a difficult time. It's the bracha of HaGamel, right? That God has given us, God has blessed us, God has saved us. He has bestowed goodness upon us. Who are those that make this bracha of HaGamel? Who are those that pay gratitude to Hashem for bringing them to good? Well, halacha says it's 4 people. Number 1, those who cross over the ocean and reach their destination. Number 2, those who cross over the desert or any other dangerous road and reach their destination. Included in that is someone who's overcome danger. For example, the wall caving in on them, or an ox lunging at that person and goring them, or robbers or thieves attacking him on the road. That's the second category, one who overcame danger. Number 2, one who overcame illness or injury, has been confined to a bed, and as their health has been restored. That's the third category. And the fourth is one who comes out of prison and is released successfully and healthily, also makes a bracha. There's actually a beautiful acronym for this, to remember this. The acronym is Block of HaGamel yoducha sela. V'chol hachayim, all those who are alive should thank you. The word chayim is an acronym. It stands for chole, one who's sick. Yisurim, one who goes through pain or illness. Or should I say suffering? Like prison. Yam is the river, the ocean, and Mem is midbar. V'chol hachayim, those who are ill, those who go through pain or affliction, i.e. imprisonment, those who travel the ocean, and those who travel through the desert. Those 4 categories are the ones who say HaGamel. And the bracha is, blessed are you, Baruch atah Hashem, Lord our God, King of the universe, Melech HaOlam. HaGamel, who bestows goodness upon me. However, there's a strange terminology that we insert into this as well. That strange terminology reads the following: HaGamel lachayavim tovot. He who bestows goodness upon the chayavim. Who are these chayavim? What are these chayavim? HaGamel lachayavim tovot. He who bestows goodness upon the chayavim. Well, the word chayavim actually means guilty. God who bestows goodness upon the guilty. That's what it says. Strange terminology, right? Because we're getting up to praise him. We're getting up to acknowledge God's wondrous ways, miraculous ways. And what are we calling ourselves? We're calling ourselves guilty. God who bestows goodness upon the guilty. We don't say this anywhere else. Nowhere in other brachot, other blessings, do we say it. For example, when we talk about Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, he brings bread from the ground. We don't say who brings bread forth for the guilty from the ground. We don't say that. Or for example, if we say Shechianu for a Yom Tov, and we're thanking God for a Yom Tov, we don't say who has given us, the guilty ones, life and sustained us and brought us, V'higiyanu lizman hazeh, and brought us to this time. We don't speak about the guilty ones. Not at all. So why is it that specifically when it comes to a time of success, a time of gratitude to Hashem, we mention the fact, chayavim, that we are the guilty ones? What's that all about? Yaakov Avinu. Jacob is journeying away now from the house of Lavan, and he's returning to the house to Eretz Israel, Eretz Canaan. But he's nervous. He's nervous that he's going to meet Esav, his brother. Esav is the brother who wants to kill him ever since he stole the brachas from him and the blessings from Isaac and Yitzchak. And so Yaakov does three things. Number one, he sends gifts to his brother Esav, hoping that the gifts will appease his brother and bring them together in peace. Number two, he divides up his family into two different categories, two different camps. It was a strategic battle move. If he attacks one of the families, the other family will escape. And so he divides them up. So he's preparing really for battle, for war. And number three, he says a prayer to Hashem. And he says, Elokei Avi Avraham, the God of my father Avraham, and the God of my father Yitzchak, the God who told me to travel back to my land. And I will be with you, and I will do good to you. I have become unworthy, he says, a famous word, katonti. I have become unworthy for all the kindness that you have showed me, because I crossed the Jordan River using a staff. That's all I had, a stick. And now I've become two camps, so many, prepared for battle. Save me from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid of him, lest he come and he strikes me, my wives, and my children. That's the prayer of Jacob, the third strategy of his, right? Gifts, divide the camp into two, and say a prayer. Let's just focus on that prayer for a moment. He says the words, Katonti mikola chasadim. I am so small because of all the kindness you have given me. What does he mean? He says, I'm scared. I'm scared that you're going to I'm going to be handed over to Esau. I'm scared because I feel so much has been given to me. I'm now so small, so insignificant. So much kindness has been bestowed upon me. I'm nervous. What's going to be when I meet Esau? But the question is, God promised him already, I'm going to take care of you. God said, return to Canaan and I will take care of you. So why is Yaakov doubting that now? Katonti mikola chasadim. I'm so small because of all the kindness that God has done. What are you questioning yourself for? Do you hear there's a similar question to the question we had in the Block of HaGamel? When a person is saved from the desert and all the other categories and says HaGamel and thanks Hashem for saving him, why are we saying L'chayavim, that I'm guilty? Why are we highlighting our shortfalls, that we're guilty? We're not guilty. God blessed us. The same question is about Yaakov Avinu. Jacob has just stood through this challenge. He's coming out of the house of Laban successfully. He's coming now to greet Esav. God promised him he's going to be okay. I'm going to be with you. What does he do? He questions himself. Katonti mikola chasadim. I'm so small. I'm insignificant because of all the kindness you've done. Strange. Why point out insignificance? Humility. You're at a time of success. You are stronger now than ever before. Yaakov Avinu, as he meets Esav. What are you nervous about? Why are you so concerned? That's the question. It's the same question we have about HaGamel too. The answer is beautiful. The answer is that the closer we get to God and the more revelation of godliness we experience in our lives, the more God is with us, the closer we get to Hashem, the more we start to acknowledge our shortfall. The more honest we become in the process. The more happy we are to acknowledge my humility. That's an interesting one, hey? The further away we are from God, the more confident I feel, the more ego I feel, the more self I feel. But the more God showers me with his kindness, the more close I feel to godliness, to Hashem's presence, the more humble I feel. When success breeds humility, you know that success is godly success. When human success breeds ego, when godly success, when I feel God in my life, that actually breeds humility. Because the more I feel closer to Hashem, the more I start to realize where I'm lacking. The more I start to realize how humble I really am. Look at the Amidah. In the Amidah, we say 3 times a day, Slach lanu. Right? Forgive us, Hashem. Kifashanu, kichatanu, kifashanu. And we bang our hearts, as like in Vidui. We confess, forgive us, Hashem. First of all, it's interesting that we're saying this 3 times a day. Like we said it in the morning, Shachrit, and we said it again in Mincha, and again in Ma'ariv. Okay, that's one question. But the question I want to address now is, it's a bit late. Why have you waited so long in your davening through all the Shachrit, let's say? The entire Shachrit, you've been davening for at least 15, 20, 25 minutes till you get to that point in the Amidah. Now you're deciding to ask for forgiveness? What happened? If you came to the palace of a king and you wanted to approach the king, but you had done something wrong and you had sinned, you'd ask forgiveness as you walk into that palace. You wouldn't approach the king, ask for a meeting, start describing the king and flattering the king and praising the king and then asking him for all the favors in the world you want. And then at some later point say, Slach lanu. By the way, can you forgive me for something I did wrong? No. If you've done wrong, the moment you approach the king and come to his palace, the first thing you're going to ask for is, I am sorry. Slach lanu. Please forgive me for what I have done. But that's not how we do it. We leave it to later on in the Amidah. Later on in the davening, sorry. We start davening, and then later we ask for forgiveness. You know why? Because when we start to daven to Hashem and we start our prayers, we actually don't think that we've sinned. We actually don't think we've done anything wrong. Had we thought we've done something wrong, we would have asked for forgiveness as we arrive to the king, as we begin to daven. But in actual fact, we don't think we've done something wrong until we start to get closer to Hashem. Until we start davening and we start saying the brachot, the blessings of the morning prayers. And we start saying Baruch Sha'amar, and we're praising Hashem. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha, Yishtabach Shimcha La'ad Malkeinu. We're getting to Brikot Kriyat Shema. We get to the Shema. We start praising Hashem, the oneness of Hashem, and how humble I am in front of God. V'ahavta, I love God. V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha. V'ayam Shamoa, we have to fear God. And then we get to the Amidah, and it's the peak of our davening. The closer we get to Hashem, suddenly we realize how humble we are. Suddenly we realize where we stand. It's not about ego. It's not about self-pride. It's about being grateful to Hashem. And I know that the only reason I'm standing here today, being able to daven to Hashem as a human being, living life, breathing life, is because of Him. And therefore, it's not a time to be egoistic. It's a time to be selfless. And it's a time to realize how I've done wrong. I thought I was perfect before I started this process. But in actual fact, I realize how humble I am and my shortfalls. And I'm happy to acknowledge them because I feel one with God. I feel in awe of God, so I feel forced to acknowledge my wrongdoing. But I also feel in love with God. And I feel trusting with Hashem's relationship. And therefore, I feel humble enough to acknowledge my wrongdoing. And that's why Slach lanu only comes in later into davening as we reached a peak of closeness to Hashem. The closer we get to God, the more we're willing to acknowledge our humility. That's Yaakov Avinu. Jacob, he says, Katonti mikol chasadim. I am so humble, so small, katan, from all the kindness. God gave him success for all these years. He was successful in the house of Lavan. God promised him, I'll do you well, I'll take care of you, I'll protect you. Yes, that's exactly why he's humble, because God is now close to him. And at the moment of closeness to Hashem, katonti, I am so humble and ready to acknowledge any wrongdoing in the process as well. This also explains the bracha of HaGamel. Why is it that when we say HaGamel to Hashem and we're thanking God for looking after us, why is it that we say Chayavim Tovot? HaGamel LaChayavim Tovot. Why is it that we're calling ourselves Chayavim? Why are we the guilty party? Are we really the guilty party? The answer is that because God has bestowed upon us the miracle, because he's given us a sense of salvation, he's helped us from travel, illness, imprisonment, or whatever the case may be. We feel closer to Hashem. And we start to realize how actually, maybe I'm guilty. Maybe I'm lacking. How humble I am that I'm ready to acknowledge that I'm imperfect. I've got a long way to improve. And I know, Hashem, that the only reason you have saved me is because of you and your kindness and your benevolence and having love towards me and rachmanis towards me. That's why you saved me. Because I now realize, Chayavim, I'm guilty. I've got a long way to go. And the more close I become with you, the more I realize how much more room I've got to grow. Like Yaakov Avinu, katonti mikol hachasadim. He said, I've become so small because of all this kindness. I now realize the wrongdoing. Do you know who shared this idea? This idea was shared by Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi, who's otherwise known as the Baal HaTanya. The Baal HaTanya, who was a teacher of Hasidus and Hasidic philosophy, was a student of the Maggid Mezritch, who was a student of the Baal Shem Tov. We're talking about approximately 200 years ago, when the Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi lived, in the late 1700s, early 1800s. And when they were teaching Hasidism and teaching Hasidus, where they spoke about the neshama and the soul and the journey and the purpose of and the role we play in this world, it was a very big change in the teachings of Judaism, to the point that other Jewish sects and communities had never heard the terminologies of Hasidism, had never heard the terminologies that the Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi was teaching to his students. Even his own colleagues were questioning, maybe he is promoting Judaism and making it popular, taking mystical and holy concepts and cheapening them for the wider population. And they question his attitude. Today, in today's world, it's now a common language. All communities are quoting Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi today and the terminology which he brought to the world of soul, of purpose, of reincarnation, of neshamas, etc., etc. But this terminology was something that was very, very fresh and very new to the world. The world hadn't heard it 200-300 years ago. It wasn't needed. And they questioned him and they said, are you trying to make Judaism popular, spiritual, mystical? As I said, even within the Hasidic groups themselves, they were questioning his approach. In 1798, he was accused of opposing the government, the Tsarist government at the time. In fact, there was a libel that was sent out about him by fellow Jews to the Tsarist government at the time. And he was then arrested and taken to prison. He was sent to prison in St. Petersburg for 53 days and sentenced to the death penalty. Why? Because fellow Jews questioned his approach and telltaled and libeled on him to the officials upon which he was arrested. He saw this as a big challenge up on high for his strategy, for his teachings. Maybe I've done wrong. Maybe I've taught concepts of Torah that are not appropriate to the masses. Maybe I've exposed the spiritual and the esoteric teachings inappropriately. He in fact had a dream while he was in jail. The Maggid Mezrich, his teacher, appeared to him in jail and gave him words of encouragement. And lo and behold, miraculously, the death penalty fell away and his imprisonment fell away. And eventually in this month of Kislev, the month of miracles, the month of Hanukkah, on the 19th of Kislev, which is coming up in a few days' time, actually a week from now, he was released from jail. And when he was released from jail, it was a massive victory, because now even the government acknowledged his greatness and supported his teachings, because they realized what a great rabbi he was and the community that he was leading. So the Hasidim at the time saw this as a victory. We've been victorious. The natural response was, let's go out and tell the world that our Rebbe was right, that the Rebbe, Reb Shlomo Zalman, was right. Let's take revenge against those who dobbed on him, who telltaled, who pushed the Tsarist government to put him into prison. But you know what? That wasn't Reb Shlomo Zalman's approach. The Rebbe, the Holy Rebbe, showed an approach of humility, an approach of forgiveness. And he used the words of Yaakov Avinu from this week's Torah portion, which happens to be the week, this Shabbos Vayishlach is the week before the 19th of Kislev, so it was all around the same time. He quotes the words of Yaakov Avinu. Katonti mikol hachasadim, says Rabbi Shlomo Zalman. I am small from all the kindness that God has bestowed upon me. Powerful words. In other words, we can't go out into the streets and shout, we won, we won. That's not a sign of humility. That's not a sign of acknowledging God's care and support and love and salvation. When you're successful, when God brings you success, it's not a time to boast ego. It's a time to recognize humility. Katonti. We are humble. And so Rabbi Shlomo Zalman encouraged his Hasidim, his students, hold back. It's not a time for ego. It's a time for humility, to recognize the greatness of Hashem, the blessings of God, and what he has bestowed upon us, the goodness that he has bestowed upon us. That's the message. And so we need to think to ourselves that this can play out in our own lives. It plays out in business, in success in business. It plays out in success in family. It plays out in so many different regards. When we're feeling good, the natural response of success is to feel superior to someone else. We feel superior to somebody else. We feel better than somebody else. But that's the wrong approach. What we have to learn from Yaakov Avinu, Katonti Mikol HaChasadim, is that success breeds humility, gratefulness, thankfulness to Hashem. And that's why we say in HaGamel, L'chayavim tovot. He has bestowed upon the guilty, because now we realize that we're imperfect. We're actually guilty. The closer we get to God, the more imperfect we feel, which is okay, because we're being honest with ourselves. And so we're thanking Hashem that although I may be guilty, although I may be imperfect, I'm grateful to you for giving me and providing for me. This is why we say Slach Lanu in davening Kichatanu. Later on, after we spend time praising Hashem, getting close to Hashem, making ourselves open and transparent and close to Hashem, now we recognize Kichatanu, that we have sinned and we're imperfect. And you know what? We're not scared to say that, because God loves us. He embraces us. He saves us. He protects us. And that's why we can say, Katonti, I am small. I am humble. An important lesson for life. Hopefully we can implement this into our lives as well, to say thank you to Hashem, but also to realize it's not about me or my success. It's about the Hashem's benevolence and chesed and kindness just like the approach of Yaakov Avinu, our forefather. Thanks all for joining us. Those of you on Zoom, just stick around for a moment. Those of you on Facebook Live, over and out. See you again next week, Wednesday, 10 o'clock for Practical Parsha. And those of you watching later on, thank you all for tuning in.